Hello. Are you feeling like you're stuck on a treadmill? Maybe that you've gone down the wrong path in life? Do you sense that your skills, your abilities, and your effort are not being sufficiently rewarded? I mean, not that you think that you're so wonderful, but you've never really done anything, accomplished anything, but that you're actually putting the effort, actually developing the skills, actually showing abilities, but they're not being sufficiently rewarded. You may have the pleasant surprise discover as time goes on that you're a late bloomer, and you may need to embrace that. But as we go into this, please click like and subscribe. There's going to be more book recommendations, more other uh, content I'm going to be put out there. Most of my content is a Christian channel, but where I think that there's something that might be helpful to people in the life they're going through, I'll put it out there and I'll make recommendations to other channels, Christian and that aren't explicitly Christian, where they might be helpful. So I'm something of a late bloomer myself. As a pastor, I served in small churches, degree, undergraduate in classics, master divinity, worked with many people who were considered world class, but found myself stuck in small churches, primarily due to being single. In my denomination, that was kind of looked down on at the time that there's something wrong with you if you were single, although there were some single pastors who lasted in singleness for years in the denomination. But after the leaving the fourth small church, which burned me out, left me disappointed, I went into a friend of mine gave me a job. He gave me a contracting job writing manuals in his department. So, and I looked at some of the processes, said those can be automated. And I picked up the manual for Microsoft Excel and we started automating them. And then I went on to software development. And that's where I've earned my living for the past 30 years until I retired recently. So, in some ways, I could have been called a late bloomer. But, as far as being able to see that a better match between my abilities and my efforts that I was putting in and the promise and so on. So, I'm never going to say that my time in the past was a false leading and it was unfruitful. But sometimes you do need to take a look. And if you're a believer, look up to the Lord and say, and reevaluate where you are. Maybe it's not a false start, but maybe it's a path that when God's closing a door, you open a window, and opening a window on something else. Maybe we do need to evaluate. Maybe we do have to come to that point where we say, yeah, it was a false start. I was misled by myself, by others, by promises, but and not put a huge blame on them, but forgive and take a new path. So we may need to admit that we went down a path that's a dead end, unpromising. It's not going to last us for a lifetime, or not going to build a basis of skills for living, not going to reward us according to be able to do the things we want in life. Particularly, I saw that where I was going there, that it was not going to, I wasn't going to be able to get the kind of living that would be I was seeking to be able to have a wife and family. But sometimes we need to look, evaluate, and see that we need to stop doing the same thing. And some people come to that later in their life. After a few years, I came to that realization in my 30s. And some people, and I think in our culture, we may need to see with the rise of AI and some other things, so we may need to have people realize it's time to make another chance, to take another chance, take another path. It's okay to be a late bloomer. So when I talk about late bloomers, and this is, I mentioned book recommendations in the title, and yeah, there's going to be three book recommendations. First one is the most significant one, I think, on being a late bloomer. Rich Colgard, associated with Forbes magazine, and he's someone that I've found profit in reading his books. I would encourage you to read his books and listen to him where you can. But he talks about how he himself is a late bloomer here, and how it's possible to have success later in life. You may not hit it right upon graduation from college if you do that at age 22 or after you get your master's or your PhD. You might find yourself being disappointed, feeling out of place in that situation. You may go to seek other places. And one of the things that Rich did put his finger on, something we call precocious achievement. He talks about this to mitigate the crisis of late bloomers. We must stop excessively glorifying excessive precocious achievement and seeing human development as a fast track on ramp for early success. Not only is it unjust to the majority of us, it's profoundly inhumane. It ignores the natural born gifts that we all possess, cuts off paths of discovery for our more latent or later blooming gifts and passions. It trivializes the value of character, experience, empathy, wisdom, reliability, tenacity, and a host of other admirable qualities make us successful and fulfilled. And it undercuts the majority of us who are potential late bloomers. So if you're a potential late bloomer, understand that maybe your early success was showing you paths and skills that you shouldn't have gone down, skills you may have overestimated, and other capabilities and opportunities in yourself you haven't underestimated. So Rich does give later on in the book, a few pages later, another recommendation. I think this is one which is key. It played in my own shift from underemployment to the path of software development, where I developed a much more variety. I still worked in preaching and working within the church even while I was doing that. So I was able to express my faith not only in preaching in the church, though, but also through trying to have quality in my work, through seeking to be as honest as I could, through being realistic, sometimes being a truth teller when people didn't want to hear that, but trying to be the person who could. I was told one place I was the conscience of the department, which might not have put me up for a fast track in that organization, but I was able to go home with a clean conscience too about what I had done and develop the skills. So this is where Rich says you might need to look back. He says, I think it's good to look back and think about what you were like as a kid and what you like to do and where you found satisfaction. Then return to those things or that method of approaching challenges. If you don't do that, you'll be beating your head against the wall your whole adult life. And that's where we don't want to be. So maybe you need to do that. Look to where you were as a kid. That as I was looking at myself back in those times, I saw abilities in math, logic, philosophy, history, which I was able to bring to bear more throughout my life, throughout the next 30 years. And, so looking at where you were, your childhood, maybe things in your childhood, some of the things that are current hobbies, you could maybe direct those partially into a professional life and make those something which are add-on skills, a skill stack, not just having one skill, one talent, not the Carrie Bradshaw thing. I'm going to be a writer and go to New York and write about my love life. No, be someone who has writing, but more than writing, ability to present and guide others, quantitative, logic. The training I did have in logic did work out surprisingly helpful in understanding software development, computer programming. So don't beat your head against the wall. Look back in your life, see where there may be things latent within you, which the world may not even see, and they may not even acknowledge. But perhaps maybe there was a third or fourth grade teacher that saw that, something like that, or maybe that high school class that you liked to, and you never really pursued it further. So, and we come to the point of employment then. Employment. There is a great advantage to being a late bloomer. the fact that you've matured in life. You developed not just your talent, but your character. And this is again something that Rich says in his book, speaking to employers. Fortunately, employers here are in luck. Late bloomers form the biggest pool of untapped, unacknowledged human talent out there. Seek them out, show them some love, help them develop their skills. You'll be rewarded with smart, loyal, creative, wise, and persistent employees. Yeah, to pay the bills. Maybe consider turning what I've said here, what I've passed on from Rich, into a sales pitch for yourself as to why you're starting out retooling, changing directions later in life. So, and again, as a pastor, sometimes we got people in the churches who try to second guess us, try to develop workarounds for us. But really, the quote I'm bringing up here later, Rich speaks to spiritual leaders. Rich is also a Christian, so he also has a great awareness of the potential within churches, within fellow believers, to provide either a dash of cold water upon someone who's warming up to a new way in life, or to help them find a new direction. And I'll read out the quote. It's been up there long enough that someone who's watching this, but someone who's listening to this, to religious and spiritual leaders, you've surely seen the pain inflicted on families and individuals by the early blooming madness. Shared among different faiths in the world is a powerful protest. Humans are divine creations. We all have a supreme destiny to discover our gifts, however long it takes, to pursue our deepest purposes, and to bloom. Yes, believer in Jesus, I look at people and see that they're made in the image of God, even if they don't share my faith, and their potential, their capabilities created and baked into them by God, and the potential they can have to do good for themselves. Not that they'll be perfect, but to find purpose, meaning, fulfillment, and good things to do in this life. So, to bloom as someone who's made in the image of God. So, there are also two more books I'd like to add. This is one which I've come across lately, Cal Newport's book, Slow Productivity. He talks about setting goals and being in it for the long haul. And being productive, not over the course of weeks and a couple months, but over years. Through knowing your purpose, knowing where to go. So that's also something to consider about as you start to look at being a late bloomer, blooming at the stage in life where you are right now. Slow productivity doesn't all have to be a flash in the pan but it can be slow productivity over months, years, and decades. Make productivity, fulfillment, doing things which are worthwhile to you, which are ethical, which do good for others, which are valuable, which you can get definite payment for, just payment, just exchange of services, making an honest buck in this world. So, slow productivity, going down that path as you've been seeking to find the correct direction, seeking maybe as a late bloomer to take up a new direction. Next one is going to be one which I've had some cautions about, because Julia Cameron, some of the things are kind of strange, as she says, sounds kind of new agey, but I've been through it several times, and the exercises in this book are quite valuable. They help you to go over your past, look over your past, your bypassed dreams, and I would encourage you, if a believer, use it with a Bible in hand, examine it all by the Bible, but looking to see how God has worked in the path of your life where you are right now, and how that can contribute to the path you'll take in the months, years, and decades ahead. Not just about being creativity as a self-expression, but self-expression which is speaks to other people, communicates ethically, communicates well to them, builds them up, and yet it's expressing also the way in which God has made you. You know, it's both and. We get rewarded by producing value in this world, value which others appreciate and which they're willing to support us for, most often by money, yes, making an honest buck, but the, the capability is there in a way which God has given you, looking these things over, things you have done, places you've been, things you've done, things which you can start over again, which you can use as a springboard, as a new path to leapfrog into new places in your life. So I hope this has been helpful. Hope this can help you, guide you to be a late bloomer, to be productive, and you never know, you might find things in here which you may need to bloom in several ways throughout your lifetime. Sometimes people do need to change places in different spots in their lives. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I hope this is helpful to you. I really would want you to find yourself sensing in whatever path you are right now, being valuable, productive, fulfilled, and not feeling you've taken the wrong path in life, that you're not at a dead end, you're not beating your head against the wall. So, God bless you, and hope that you bloom at whatever stage of life you're in right now.